Hello, welcome. This is Aleksandra Lewandowska, Into the Deep, our next Sunday meditation. Today, as I promised, we are hearing voices, a very exciting time ahead of us. But before we do that, just listen to my voice explaining how we meditate the Ignatian way. Welcome. You've just dived into the Deep, an online community meditating the Ignatian way. If it's the first time you're with us, you will now hear a short explanation on how we meditate together. The meditations are streamed every Sunday. Before each meditation, there will be a short introduction with the reading of the day. It's also time for you to prepare the place where you will meditate. Get comfortable, but not too comfortable. The benefits of meditating when asleep are yet to be found. Remember to turn off your phone, Facebook, and other apps that may distract you. The streaming is also available on YouTube, and it's best to go there directly. You can find the link in the description of this video. Please hold your comments and things you'd like to share with others until the end. You may turn off the screen, dim the lights, or close your eyes if you like. When meditating, you don't have to do anything. Just sit back, relax, listen to the soft music and the words of the speaker. Don't try to force anything and don't judge yourself. Just let yourself experience the thoughts, images and feelings you have inside. Remember, God only knows what's going to happen, so trust that He is at work in you and trust the process. The meditation will take about 40 minutes. Previous meditations can be found on YouTube. And now, let's start off with the introduction. This meditation has been prepared in collaboration with the Jesuits. My best friend once told me, "You know what? I really wish that there was a book that I could read and just know that it's God speaking." And I said, "Have you ever heard about the Bible?" Every Christian knows that God speaks through His Word. But of course, He's not limited to His Word. He can use other people in our lives. He can use the events, our emotions, things that happen to us, practically everything. He's not limited in the way He can speak to us. But we, on the other hand, very often limit how He can speak to us. We limit what we can receive, what we are prepared to receive from Him. So sometimes these are the rigid expectations that we have. So if we think God can only speak to us in a certain way, often we think that He can only be strict with us because that's what we deserve, so we usually confuse God with inner critic. Or because we heard that God has spoken to somebody had an experience of God in his or her life, so in our case it has to be the same, otherwise it can't be God. But because each and every one of us is so unique and individual, God can have an individual way of speaking to us. So the best thing we can do is also learn to recognize God when He's speaking to us in the silence of the heart. It's a scary place to be, but it's worth it. Sometimes we might be afraid that we'll make a mistake. So it's better to stick to the old ways. It's better to listen to what somebody else is telling me and not to trust that experience. Of course, it's worth sharing the experience, especially with a spiritual director or somebody who is more advanced and can objectivize the experience for us. But still, you are allowed to make a mistake. If something is a wrong decision, you will know it by its fruits. And if it's good, you will also judge by the results. And so, in practice, little by little, you will learn to recognize which voice is leading you towards life, which voice is leading you to these pastures where you can flourish, where you can be the best version of yourself, and which voice is stealing life from you. Perhaps you've been thinking all your life that this is the voice of God, but it's actually robbing you of life, and God will never do that. So tonight, or today, if you meditate during the day, we'll learn to recognize that true voice, and we'll try to remember that, so that next time we already know which voice to listen to. Let's read the Gospel, John 10, verses 1 to 10. I tell you the truth. The man who does not enter the sheep pen by the gate, but climbs in by some other way, is a thief and a robber. The man who enters by the gate is the shepherd of his sheep. The watchman opens the gate for him, and the sheep listen to his voice. He calls his own sheep by name and leads them out. When he has brought out all his own, he goes on ahead of them, and his sheep follow him, because they know his voice. But they will never follow a stranger. In fact, they will run away from him because they do not recognize a stranger's voice. Jesus used this figure of speech, but they did not understand what he was telling them. Therefore Jesus said again, I tell you the truth. I am the gate for the sheep. All who ever came before me were thieves and robbers, but the sheep did not listen to them. I am the gate. Whoever enters through me will be saved. He will come in and go out and find pasture. The thief comes only to steal and kill and destroy. I have come that they may have life and have it to the full. With your eyes closed, think for a moment of the voices you are hearing now in your head. Imagine you can turn them off and relax in silence. Focus now on your breath. Is it steady, uneven, nervous? Don't change anything, just breathe and observe. Feel your feet against the floor. Feel your toes against your socks or shoes. Imagine that the breaths you are taking are going all the way down to your feet. Move your attention to your ankles, then to your calves, knees, and thighs. Notice any sensations and tensions. Breathe into and out from the legs. Move on to your lower back and your belly. What sensations do you feel there? Does your back feel stiff? Do you feel tightness in your stomach? Feel your breath reaching these areas and relieving the tension. Focus now on your chest. Observe how your chest rises and falls. Listen to your heartbeat. Focus your attention now on your hands and shoulders. Notice if there is any stiffness there. Feel your breath reaching as far as your fingertips. Notice the sensations at the back of your neck. Is it stiff or relaxed? Finally, focus on your jaw. Are you clenching it or allowing it to drop loosely? Feel the sensations in your cheeks, nose, the back of your head. What are you feeling right now? Focus on that feeling. Breathe and let it grow. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. I beseech you, Lord, to direct all my actions by your inspiration, to carry them on by your gracious help. Let every prayer and work of mine may always begin from you and through you be happily ended. In your own words, entrust this time to God and ask Him for the gift of recognizing His voice. Ask Him to guide you during this meditation and throughout the rest of your life. Ask for this gift also on behalf of those who hear only the voice of despair, loneliness, bitterness, or silence. Picture your life as a noisy place. What does it look like? Does it resemble a disco, a conference hall, a busy workplace? Or maybe it's relatively calm. What colors dominate the scene? Suddenly, a person all in white comes into the picture. You recognize that it's Jesus. He takes you by the hand and walks you back to the time when you were a child. What are your earliest memories? How old are you? Where are you? What are you doing? Listen to the voices you hear around you. What do they communicate? Are they loving, gentle, sweet? Are they too loud, unpredictable, scary? How do you feel when you hear these voices? Which voice did you admire when you were a child? Which voice you were scared of? Which one did you obey? Which one did you rebel against? Jesus is now taking you to the time when you were a teenager. What kind of voices were the loudest at that time? Which voice was silent? Which voices did you reject? Which new voices did you start to admire? Was it a time in your life when you sacrificed your voice to be part of the group? Or maybe you felt you started to find your own true voice. Now you are going with Jesus to the time of big regrets. What do you regret doing? What voice did you listen to before you made that wrong decision? The voice that steals life from you. What does it sound like? What color is that voice? How does it make you feel? Do you still hear it now? And now you are traveling to the time when you made good decisions. Think of the choices that made you more loving, kind. The choices that made you a better person, made you feel more alive. What voice guided these decisions? What does it sound like? What color is that voice? How does that voice make you feel? Do you still hear it in your life? You and Jesus are now coming back to the noisy scene of your present life. What voices do you listen to now? Which one is dominant? What would you compare it to? Is it soft and gentle, or harsh and cold? Whose voice is it? When did you start to hear it? Do you like that voice? Or maybe you're tired of it. Jesus is now taking you away from the scene of your noisy life. The image is slowly fading and darkening until it disappears. You are both walking away from it, walking side by side into the night, until you come to a green pasture. See the wooden fences. Touch the grass. Is it wet or dry? Do you and Jesus sit down on the grass? Or maybe on the fence? The sky is full of stars. There is complete silence. There's nobody there, just you and Jesus. You can only hear the crickets chirping in the background. Nobody can overhear your conversation. Jesus turns to you and says your name. How does your name sound when Jesus says it? What's the tone of his voice? Does it remind you of anything? What color is his voice? How does it make you feel? Jesus wants to say something to you. What's your first reaction? Are you afraid? Or happy? Do you have any expectations as to what he could tell you? Are you willing to let go of these expectations and allow him to surprise you? Listen to what he has to say to you. Jesus stretches out his hand and points to a certain part of the pasture. His voice directs you to go there, because that is the place where you will flourish. Where is his voice leading you? What is your green pasture? When you come back to your everyday life, do you think you will be able to recognize that voice when it speaks to you? What could you do to make it easier for yourself to hear it? For a few minutes, talk to Jesus about this experience, about what you are going to do now. My dove in the clefts of the rock, in the hiding places on the mountainside. Show me your face. Let me hear your voice. For your voice is sweet, and your face is lovely. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. You can open your eyes now and open your journals and write down the words, sentences you heard, images you saw, anything that you find particularly important, what you would like to take home from this meditation, what you would like to remember. And I'll see you in 3 minutes. Bye. And so, that's it for today. I hope your experience with hearing voices would not get scary. On the contrary, I hope you found that one true voice that is worth listening to, because I think there's nothing worse in life than to realize that we've been listening to all the other voices that not necessarily have our best interests in mind. Well, sometimes they wish us well, but they don't know us that much, so they can never really know what's best for us. And this also concerns my voice. As you probably noticed, I ask you a lot of questions and you don't have to answer all of them. Meditation is about you and God. I only try to help. So if you feel that you have some promptings into another direction and I'm pointing to another, just never mind me, don't listen to my voice. Listen to the voice that you hear inside. And I hope that thanks to this meditation, the next one will be even better. The next one will be next Sunday at 10 p.m. Central European Time. If you have any comments, any feedback, I'd be grateful for it. See you and have a best week. Bye bye.